The knife pressed cold against Annabella's throat, but her gaze stayed locked on the man across the warehouse. Kang Jiwon, blood trailing from his split lip, hands raised in calculated surrender. A sight she never imagined from Seoul's most feared underground king. The air reeked of gasoline and rain, and the American's breath was hot against her ear as he hissed, "Choose, sweetheart, your pathetic life, or I gut him like the dog he is and let you watch." Jiwon's jaw clenched, his dark eyes burning with an intensity that made her lungs forget how to work. "Touch her again," he said, voice deadly calm despite the guns trained on his chest. "And I'll carve my name into every person you've ever loved." Bold words for a man about to lose everything. "Try me." Jiwon took a step forward, ignoring the weapons. "She's not just some woman I'm protecting. She's the only thing in this world I'd trade my empire for. And if you think I won't burn your entire organization to ashes for her, you don't understand what love has turned me into." Annabella's heart thundered against her ribs. How had a stolen moment in a hospital corridor led to this? How had the man who once looked through her like she was invisible become the only person who made her feel seen?
4 weeks earlier, the fluorescent lights of Seoul National Hospital's emergency wing buzzed with their usual 3 a.m. exhaustion as Annabella wiped down the nurse's station for the second time that hour. Her dark hands moved efficiently over the surface, her natural hair pulled back in a neat bun, her scrubs stretched across curves that had always made her feel too visible in all the wrong ways. She'd been working the night shift for 6 months now, ever since she'd arrived in Seoul with nothing but a nursing degree from Lagos, a work visa that barely cleared, and the kind of desperate hope that came from running away from everything familiar. Her ex-fiancé's voice still echoed sometimes. "You're beautiful, Bella, but let's be honest, you're not the kind of woman men show off. You're the kind they keep hidden." She'd crossed an ocean to stop hearing those words. "Nurse Obi. Doctor." Kim's sharp voice cut through her thoughts. "Trauma incoming, GSW to the shoulder, ETA 2 minutes. Annabella's training kicked in immediately. She prepped the trauma bay with practiced efficiency, her mind shifting into the focused calm that made her excellent at her job, even if nobody here seemed to notice. To the other staff, she was just another foreign worker, quiet, competent, invisible. The ambulance bay doors burst open. What came through wasn't what she expected. The man on the gurney was unconscious, but immaculately dressed even in crisis, a black suit that probably cost more than her monthly salary, now soaked with blood. His face was sharp angles and aristocratic features, Korean, probably early 30s, with the kind of presence that demanded attention even while unconscious. But it was the entourage that made Annabella's instincts scream. 6 men in matching black suits flanked the gurney, moving with military precision. They weren't family, they were soldiers. And the way they positioned themselves, watching exits, assessing threats, hands hovering near concealed weapons, told her everything she needed to know about what kind of man lay bleeding on her table. "Everyone out, doctor," Kim said sharply to the suited men. "Hospital policy. We stay." The one who spoke was tall, Korean-American by his accent, with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow. His hand rested visibly on a gun. Non-negotiable. Dr. Kim's face went pale. He clearly recognized something Annabella didn't. "Fine, but stay out of our way." As they worked to stabilize the patient, Annabella's hands moved automatically, cutting away the ruined suit jacket, exposing the wound, applying pressure while Dr. Kim assessed damage. The bullet had gone through cleanly, missing major arteries by centimeters. "Lucky." "He's stable enough for surgery, doctor," Kim announced. "Prep or 3. That's when the patient's eyes opened. Dark, intense, instantly aware despite the blood loss and trauma. They swept the room with predatory focus, cataloging every person, every exit, every potential threat. When those eyes landed on Annabella, they stopped, and for the first time in 6 months, someone in this hospital really looked at her. "Korean?" he asked, his voice rough with pain but still carrying absolute authority. "No, sir," Annabella replied in her accented Korean, keeping her hands steady on the pressure bandage. "Nigerian. I'm your nurse tonight." Something flickered in his expression. "Nigerian," he repeated, as if testing the word. Then, inexplicably, "You have steady hands." "It's my job, sir. Most people's hands shake around me." His eyes held hers. "Even when I'm not bleeding." Before she could respond, Dr. Kim intervened. "Sir, we need to get you to surgery." No surgery. The patient tried to sit up, his face going white with the effort. I can't be unconscious that long. Too vulnerable. Sir, the bullet. I said no. His voice dropped to something dangerous. Stitch it here. Local anesthetic only. Doctor. Kim looked ready to argue, but the scarred guard stepped forward. You heard him. Do it here, or we find someone who will. What followed was the most tense 30 minutes of Annabella's career. Dr. Kim's hands shook as he worked, clearly terrified of his patient. The guards watched everything with predatory focus. And the man on the table, Kang Ji-won, she heard them call him, never looked away from her face. She assisted with professional calm, handing Dr. Kim instruments, monitoring vitals, trying desperately to ignore the weight of Ji-won's stare. He didn't look at her like the other men in this hospital did, with either dismissal or the kind of fetishizing curiosity that made her skin crawl. He looked at her like he was solving an equation, like she was a puzzle piece that didn't fit his understanding of the world. Your hands don't shake, he said suddenly, making Dr. Kim jump and nearly drop his suture needle. No, sir, Annabella replied, adjusting the IV drip. Why not? Because you're just a patient. Bleeding is bleeding, regardless of who's doing it. One of the guards made a sound, quickly stifled. Ji-won's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Just a patient. I haven't been just anything in 15 years. Well, tonight you're just a gunshot wound that needs proper aftercare, Annabella said, then immediately regretted her boldness. But Ji-won's almost smile widened. What's your name? Nurse Obi is sufficient, sir. I didn't ask for your title. I asked for your name. Doctor. Kim shot her a warning look. Don't antagonize him, the expression screamed. Annabella swallowed. Annabella Obi. Annabella. He said it slowly, carefully, like he was tasting each syllable. Beautiful name. Means worthy of love, doesn't it? Heat crept up her neck. I don't know, sir. I've never looked it up. You should. Names have power. His eyes held hers with unsettling intensity. Tell me, Annabella Obi from Nigeria, what brings you to Seoul? Work visa. Standard immigrant story. Nothing about you seems standard. Before she could process that statement, Dr. Kim finished the last suture. Done. But sir, you really should stay for observation. Blood loss, potential infection. I'll observe myself. Ji-won sat up slowly, his face barely registering the pain that had to be screaming through his shoulder. Thank you, Dr. Kim. Your discretion, as always, is appreciated. The unspoken threat hung in the air. Dr. Kim nodded vigorously. Of course, sir. Always. Ji-won stood, swaying slightly. Annabella's nursing instincts overrode her self-preservation. She moved to steady him, her hand gripping his uninjured arm. You shouldn't be walking yet. You've lost too much blood. His free hand covered hers where it rested on his arm. The touch was deliberate, warm despite his blood loss. Concerned for me, Annabella? Concerned for my professional reputation when you collapse in my ER. That got a real smile. Brief, but transformative. It made him look younger, almost human. I like you. You don't know me, sir. I know enough. He gently removed her hand, but his fingers lingered a moment longer than necessary. You're competent, brave, and you don't fear me. That's rare, valuable. I'm just doing my job. No. His eyes grew serious. You're surviving in a country that doesn't want you, working a thankless shift, maintaining dignity while people like Dr. Kim here treat you as disposable. That's not just doing a job. That's strength. The observation was so accurate, so unexpectedly perceptive, that Annabella felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them away furiously. Ji-won noticed. Of course he noticed. The world is cruel to strong women. It tries to break them because it fears them. He reached into his ruined suit jacket, pulled out a card somehow still pristine, placed it in her hand. When you need something, call this number. I won't need anything from you, sir. You will. He moved toward the exit, his guards falling into formation around him. At the door, he paused. Annabella, one more thing. Yes, sir? You are worthy of love. Whatever happened before, whoever told you otherwise, they were blind. Then he was gone, leaving Annabella standing in the trauma bay with a business card burning in her palm and her heart doing something complicated in her chest. Dr. Kim exhaled shakily. Do you have any idea who that was? A patient with a gunshot wound. That was Kang Ji-won. He controls half of Seoul's underground. Gambling, protection, Information networks? He's not just dangerous, Nurse Obi. He's lethal. Dr. Kim's hands were still trembling. You should throw away that card. Forget he exists. People who get close to him tend to disappear. But Annabella found herself tucking the card into her scrub's pocket, right next to the small cross her mother had given her. She told herself it was just a memento of a strange night, that she'd never call, that a man like Kang Ji-won existed in a world so far removed from hers they might as well be on different planets. She had no idea how wrong she was. 3 days passed. Annabella worked her shifts, tried to forget dark eyes and dangerous smiles, failed completely. The card stayed in her pocket, a constant weight. She'd pull it out sometimes during quiet moments, studying the minimalist design. Just a phone number, no name, no title, as if Ji-won was so powerful he didn't need to identify himself. On the 4th night, everything changed. Annabella was walking home from her shift, exhausted, when she noticed the car. Black sedan, tinted windows, following her at a careful distance. Her heart kicked into overdrive. She turned down a different street. The car followed. She walked faster. The car matched her pace. Seoul's streets were relatively safe, but at 4 a.m., in a foreign country where she barely spoke the language, Annabella felt her vulnerability like a physical thing. She reached for her phone, fingers fumbling. The car accelerated, pulling ahead and cutting her off. The doors opened. 3 men emerged, American. She registered with sick clarity, built like soldiers, moving with coordinated precision. Annabella Obi? The one in front spoke with a southern drawl. We need you to come with us. I don't know you. She backed away, phone clutched in her hand. You know our boss. You saw something you shouldn't have 4 nights ago. He took a step closer. Marcus Crane wants to have a conversation about what you remember. I didn't see anything. I'm just a nurse. I don't remember. Sure you don't, sweetheart. But Marcus, he's not the trusting type. Prefers to make absolutely certain. The man's smile was all teeth and threat. Now, you can come with us easy, or we can make it hard. Your choice. Annabella's thumb hit the emergency button on her phone 3 times. The distress signal she'd set up when she first arrived in Seoul, paranoid about being alone in a foreign country. It would call the last number dialed, except she hadn't made any calls in days. The card in her pocket seemed to burn. I'm not going anywhere with you, she said, voice steadier than she felt. Wrong answer. The man lunged. Annabella ran. Stupid maybe, but instinct overrode logic. She made it 3 steps before hands grabbed her, yanking her backward. She screamed, driving her elbow back the way her father had taught her, connected with someone's ribs, heard a grunt of pain, then something hard cracked against her skull and the world tilted sideways. She was being dragged toward the car, consciousness flickering, when headlights blazed from down the street. Another vehicle, moving fast, too fast. It screeched to a halt, and doors flew open before it even fully stopped. Through her blurred vision, Annabella saw him. Ji-won emerged from the car like violence given form, his injured shoulder apparently no impediment to the way he moved. Behind him, 5 men fanned out, including the scarred one from the hospital. Let her go, Ji-won's voice, carried absolute authority despite not being loud. Now. The Americans hesitated. Their leader, the southern one, tried for bravado. This doesn't concern you, Kang. This is between Marcus Crane and the girl. Everything concerning her concerns me. Ji-won moved closer, and Annabella saw what Dr. Kim had meant about lethal. This wasn't the man who'd smiled at her in the ER. This was something primal and terrifying. Release her, or I'll ensure Marcus Crane needs a new second in command. You want to start a war over some random nurse? There's nothing random about her. Ji-won's eyes never left the man holding Annabella. And I don't start wars. I end them. Decisively. The American's grip on her loosened slightly. Marcus won't. What happened next was too fast to track. Ji-won moved, his hand striking like a snake, and suddenly the American was on the ground, gasping for air, guns skittering across pavement. The other 2 went for their weapons, but Ji-won's men were faster. Within seconds, all 3 Americans were disarmed and on their knees. Ji-won walked to Annabella, his expression shifting instantly from deadly to concerned. Did they hurt you? She touched the back of her head, felt wetness. I'm okay, just dizzy. You're bleeding. His jaw clenched. Take them, he said to his men, gesturing at the Americans. Make sure Marcus Crane understands what happens when he touches what's mine. What's mine? The words hung in the air. I'm not yours, Annabella heard herself say, then swayed as the world tilted again. Jiwon caught her before she fell, lifting her easily despite his injured shoulder. Argue semantics later. Right now, you need medical attention. I'm a nurse. I can take care of myself. I'm sure you can. He carried her toward his car. But you won't. Not tonight. Tonight, you let someone take care of you. Annabella wanted to protest, but her head was pounding, and Jiwon's arms felt steady and safe in a way nothing had felt since she left Lagos. So she let herself be carried, let herself be placed gently in the back seat of his car, let herself lean against his chest as the city blurred past. How did you know? She asked, fighting to stay conscious. How did you know I was in trouble? Your phone triggered an emergency signal to the last number you had contact with. His hand pressed carefully against the wound on her head, applying pressure. My number. From the card. I didn't mean to call you. I know. Something in his voice made her look up at him. But I'm glad you did. Even accidentally. Why do you care? You don't know me. I know enough. The same words from the hospital, but now they carried different weight. I know Marcus Crane's operation has been trying to expand into my territory. I know 4 nights ago, his men ambushed my convoy and I ended up in your ER. I know you were working late that night, probably saw the whole thing from the ambulance bay. Annabella's memory flashed. The shouting, in English and Korean, the gunshots, the way she ducked behind the concrete barrier, heart-hammering. I didn't see faces. It was too dark. Marcus doesn't know that. He just knows a witness exists. Jiwon's arms tightened around her. Which makes you a liability he wants to eliminate. So you're protecting me to protect yourself, to make sure I don't talk. No, his voice was firm. I'm protecting you because the thought of those men hurting you makes me want to burn the world down. And I'm trying to understand why a woman I met once has that effect on me. Annabella's head was spinning, and not just from the concussion. This is insane. You don't even know me. Then let me. The car pulled into an underground garage, expensive and private. Let me know you, Annabella. Let me keep you safe while I figure out why you've become the most important thing in my world in less than a week. People will think you're crazy. People already think I'm a monster. Let them add crazy to the list. The car stopped and he carefully lifted her again. Come with me. Let me make sure you're okay. Then, if you want, you can walk away and never see me again. It was the last part that made her agree. The acknowledgement that she had a choice, that he wasn't forcing or demanding. Okay, but just for tonight. Just for tonight, he agreed, but something in his eyes suggested he knew, just as she somehow knew, that tonight would become tomorrow, and tomorrow would become something neither of them could walk away from. He carried her into an elevator that rose so high her ears popped, into a penthouse that belonged in magazines, all glass and steel, and the kind of minimalist luxury that screamed power. Set her gently on a leather couch that probably cost more than her yearly salary. Wait here, I'll get the first aid kit. While he was gone, Annabella looked around. The space was immaculate, but sterile, like a showroom rather than a home. No photos, no personal touches, nothing that suggested someone actually lived here. It was beautiful and utterly lonely. Jiwon returned with a professional medical kit, knelt in front of her, hands surprisingly gentle as he examined her head wound. Shallow. Won't need stitches, but you probably have a mild concussion. I know, I'm a nurse, remember? Then you know you shouldn't sleep for the next few hours. He began cleaning the wound with practiced efficiency. Someone should monitor you. I can monitor myself. Annabella. He paused, meeting her eyes. Please. Let me do this. Let me make sure you're okay. There was something raw in his expression, something vulnerable that didn't match the dangerous crime lord image. Against every logical instinct, Annabella found herself nodding. Okay, but you should rest too. That shoulder is fine. But she saw the tightness around his eyes that meant pain. Let me check it. Fair trade. You monitor my concussion, I monitor your gunshot wound. He hesitated, then nodded. Carefully peeled off his jacket and shirt, revealing a muscled torso marked with scars that told violent stories. The bandage on his shoulder was clean, but she could see swelling around the edges. It's infected, she said, professional instinct overriding everything else. You need antibiotics. I'll handle it. You'll handle it right now. She stood, swaying slightly, and he immediately steadied her. Where's your medical supplies? Annabella, now Jiwon. Unless you want that infection to spread. She used his first name without thinking, and something shifted in his expression. You called me Jiwon. Should I not have? No, He seemed to struggle for words. Most people call me sir or boss or just Kang. I like hearing my name from you. Heat crept into her cheeks. Medicine. Now, he showed her to a bathroom that was larger than her entire apartment. She gathered supplies, then returned to find him sitting on the couch, watching her with that intense focus that made her feel both seen and exposed. This might hurt, she warned, sitting beside him. I've been hurt before. She carefully removed his bandage, cleaned the wound. The infection was minor, caught early. As she worked, she felt his eyes on her face. Why are you being so kind to me? She asked quietly. Why wouldn't I be? Because men like you aren't kind. They're transactional. Everything costs something. Is that what your ex taught you? His voice was soft but deadly. That kindness has a price? Her hands stilled. How do you know about my ex? I know everything about you, Annabella Obi. I know he told you that you were too much woman for any man to want publicly. I know he made you feel like your curves were something to hide rather than celebrate. I know he took your kindness and repaid it with cruelty. His hand caught her chin gently, tilting her face up. I know he was a fool who couldn't see what he had. Tears burned her eyes. Stop. Why? Because the truth hurts? Or because you're not used to being seen? Because, her voice cracked, because I came to Seoul to escape all that, to start over. And now I'm trapped in the middle of some gang war, being protected by a man who's probably more dangerous than the ones trying to kill me. I would never hurt you. The words were absolute. I would burn my entire empire to the ground before I let anyone harm you, including myself. You don't know me well enough to make promises like that. Then stay. Let me know you. Let me prove I mean every word. His thumb brushed away a tear that escaped. I'm not asking you to trust me yet. I'm just asking you not to run. Annabella should run, should grab her things and disappear into Seoul's crowded streets, should put an ocean between herself and this beautiful, dangerous man who looked at her like she mattered. Instead, she heard herself say, I'll stay tonight, just to make sure that infection doesn't spread. Jiwon's smile was soft and devastating. Just tonight. I can work with that. She finished bandaging his shoulder, then let him guide her to a guest room that was larger than her apartment, with a bathroom ensuite and clothes in her exact size already hanging in the closet. I had someone stock it when you called, just in case. He stood in the doorway, making no move to enter. Sleep if you can. I'll wake you every hour to check. You should rest too. I will, eventually. He turned to leave, then paused. Annabella? Thank you. For what? For not being afraid of me, for treating me like a person instead of a monster, for seeing me. His eyes held hers. No one's done that in a very long time. Then, he was gone, leaving Annabella alone with her racing thoughts and the terrifying realization that somewhere between the ER and this moment, she'd started to care about Kang Ji-won. Not because he was powerful or dangerous, or even because he'd saved her life, but because when he looked at her, she felt beautiful, worthy, seen, and that was more dangerous than any gun. True to his word, Ji-won woke her every hour through what remained of the night. Each time, he'd knock softly, enter when she called, check her pupils with a small flashlight, ask the standard concussion questions. Each time, she found herself more awake, more aware of him, the way he moved with lethal grace. The concern in his eyes that he tried to hide behind professionalism, the way his hand would linger on her wrist as he checked her pulse, as if he couldn't quite bring himself to break contact. By the fifth check, as dawn light began filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Annabella caught his hand. Ji-won, sit with me, just for a minute. He hesitated, then sat on the edge of the bed, careful to maintain distance. How do you feel? Like I got hit in the head and my entire life changed in one night. She studied his face, the exhaustion he was trying to hide. When's the last time you slept? I don't need much sleep. That's not what I asked. A ghost of a smile. 2 days, maybe 3. Ji-won, I can't sleep when you're hurt, when you're in danger, when... He stopped himself. When what? when all I can think about is how close I came to losing you before I even had you." The admission seemed torn from him. "I don't understand this, Annabella. I've built my entire life on control, on never letting anyone close enough to matter. And then you walked into my ER with your steady hands and your refusal to fear me, and suddenly nothing makes sense anymore." Annabella's heart hammered. "I'm just a nurse, just a woman trying to survive in a foreign country. There's nothing special about me. You're wrong." He shifted closer, his hand coming up to cup her face with devastating gentleness. "You're everything special. You're kind in a world that rewards cruelty. You're strong despite everyone trying to break you. You see people, really see them, even when they're butting it, trying to hide." His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "You saw me, not Kang Ji-won, the crime lord, not the monster or the king, just me. And I haven't been just me in so long I forgot what it felt like." "Ji-won," she whispered, leaning into his touch. "Tell me to stop." His forehead pressed against hers. "Tell me this is insane and you want to leave, and I'll let you go. I'll make sure you're safe, set you up somewhere far from Seoul, from Marcus, from me. Just say the word." Annabella knew she should run from this beautiful danger, from feelings that made no sense, from a man whose world was violence and shadows, but her hand came up to cover his where it rested against her cheek. "I don't want to leave." The kiss was inevitable, soft at first, questioning, giving her every chance to pull away. When she didn't, when she leaned in instead, it deepened into something that stole her breath. He kissed her like she was precious and necessary, like he was drowning and she was air. His hands stayed gentle despite the desperation in his touch, one cradling her face, the other carefully avoiding her injured head. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ji-won rested his forehead against hers. "This changes everything. I know. Marcus won't stop. He'll see you as a way to hurt me now. My enemies will target you. Your life will never be simple again." "It was never simple. I've been running and hiding for years. At least with you." She met his eyes. "At least with you, I feel like I can stop running." Something in his expression cracked open. "I'll protect you. With everything I am, everything I have, you'll never have to hide again. That's a big promise. Then I'd better keep it." He stood reluctantly. "Sleep. Real sleep. I'll be right outside if you need me." "Ji-won?" She caught his hand. "Thank you. For seeing me too." His smile was soft and devastating. Then he was gone, leaving Annabella to fall into sleep with the taste of him still on her lips and the terrifying, exhilarating knowledge that she'd just fallen for the most dangerous man in Seoul. She woke to the smell of coffee and something burning. Disoriented, Annabella wrapped herself in the silk robe she found hanging in the bathroom and followed the scent to the kitchen. What she found made her stop in the doorway, heart doing something complicated. Ji-won stood at the stove, dressed in black pants and a white shirt with sleeves rolled up, swearing quietly in Korean at a pan of eggs that were definitely beyond saving. His hair was slightly mussed, his feet bare, and he looked more human than she'd ever seen him. "You're awake." He looked up, caught sight of her in the doorway, and something heated in his eyes. "I was trying to make breakfast. I'm not very good at it." "I can see that." She moved into the kitchen, taking the pan from him before the eggs could achieve sentience. "When's the last time you cooked for yourself?" Define cooked. Made food using heat and ingredients. Then never. "I've had staff since I was 15. He watched her efficiently salvage what could be saved and start fresh eggs. "You're beautiful in the morning." Heat crept up her neck. "I'm a mess. You're perfect." He moved behind her, not touching but close enough she could feel his warmth. "Annabella, we need to talk about what happens next." Her stomach clenched. "You're sending me away." "No, never. Unless that's what you want." His hands settled on her waist, gentle but possessive. "But you need to understand what staying means. Marcus knows about you now. My enemies will see you as leverage. Your safety requires security, restrictions. You won't be able to work at the hospital anymore, won't be able to move freely through the city. Your life will change completely. So I'm trading one cage for another." She kept her eyes on the eggs, blinking back tears. "No." He turned her to face him, tilting her chin up. "You're choosing protection over vulnerability. There's a difference. I won't control you, Annabella. Won't make you invisible or small, but I will keep you safe, even if it means limiting your freedom temporarily." "How long is temporary?" "Until Marcus is dealt with. Until you're no longer a target." His jaw clenched. I'm working on it, but these things take time. Annabella studied his face, saw the truth there. He really would let her go if she asked, would set her up somewhere safe and walk away, even though it would cost him. The realization settled something in her chest. Okay, I'll stay. I'll accept your protection. But Ji-won. She placed her hand over his heart, felt it hammering beneath her palm. I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't make me invisible. Don't hide me away like I'm something to be ashamed of. I've spent my whole life being hidden, being told I'm too much. If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to trust you with my safety, I need to know you're not ashamed of me. Pain flashed across his face. Ashamed? Annabella, I want to put you on display, want everyone to know you're mine. Want to parade you through every room I own and make sure the world understands you're the most important thing in my life. He caught her face in both hands. You're not too much. You're exactly enough. And anyone who made you feel otherwise was a fool. Tears spilled over despite her best efforts. You barely know me. I know enough. And I want to know everything. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, tasting her tears. Stay with me. Let me learn you. Let me show you what it's like to be cherished instead of hidden. The eggs are burning, she whispered against his lips. Let them burn. And then, he was kissing her properly, deep and desperate, lifting her onto the counter and stepping between her thighs. The kiss tasted like coffee and promise, like danger and safety all tangled together. His hands spanned her waist, thumbs brushing the curve of her hips in a way that made her gasp. Ji-won, she breathed when they finally broke apart. Tell me to stop and I will. His lips traced her jaw, her neck, the hollow of her throat. Tell me this is too fast and we'll slow down. But Annabella, he pulled back to meet her eyes. I need you to know, this isn't just protection, this isn't just attraction. You've become essential to me in less than a week, and I'm trying very hard not to terrify you with how much I already need you. You don't terrify me. Her hands slid up his chest, feeling his heart race beneath her palms. Well, not in the way you think. You terrify me because you make me want things I convinced myself I didn't deserve. You terrify me because when you look at me like that, I believe I could be someone worth choosing. You are worth choosing. His voice was fierce. You're worth everything, Annabella, and I'm going to spend however long it takes proving that to you. The smoke alarm chose that moment to start screaming. They broke apart laughing, Ji-won swearing as he dealt with the completely destroyed eggs, while Annabella opened windows to clear the smoke. When the alarm finally silenced, they stood in the kitchen surrounded by the evidence of their distraction, grinning at each other like fools. I'm ordering breakfast, Ji-won said, pulling out his phone. Probably wise. But before he could dial, his phone rang. His expression shuddered instantly, the soft man from moments ago disappearing behind the crime lord's mask. What is it? Annabella couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but she watched Ji-won's face go cold and hard. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. Longer. Do it. No mercy. And find out who leaked the information. He hung up, and for a moment, just stood there, jaw clenched. Then he looked at her, and she saw fury barely contained. Marcus knows you're here. He knows exactly where we are. Annabella's blood went cold. How? Someone in my organization told him. A traitor. He was already moving, pulling her toward the bedroom. Get dressed. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Where are we going? Somewhere safe, somewhere he can't find you. He pulled clothes from the closet, expensive but practical. I'm sorry, Annabella. I promised you'd be safe here and I failed. You didn't fail. She grabbed his arm, stopping his frantic movement. You saved me, twice. That's not failing. I put you in danger by bringing you into my world. I was already in danger. You just gave me a chance to survive it. She cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. Don't do that. Don't blame yourself for other people's evil. He pulled her close, crushing her against his chest. If anything happens to you, it won't. You won't let it. She pulled back, managed a smile. Now help me get dressed so we can get out of here before your mysterious enemies arrive. They were dressed and moving within 4 minutes. Ji-won's men met them in the garage, 6 of them, including the scarred one, whose name she learned was Taehyun. They moved with military efficiency, surrounding her and Ji-won, weapons visible and ready. Safe House 3, Ji-won ordered. Take the long route. Assume we're being followed. They split into 3 cars. Annabella found herself in the middle vehicle with Jiwon and Taehyun racing through Seoul's early morning streets. She watched the city blur past, this place that had been her home for 6 months now, feeling suddenly foreign and dangerous. "How did you end up in Seoul?" Jiwon asked quietly, his hand finding hers. "Running away." She watched the buildings stream by. "My ex-fiancé left me 3 days before our wedding, said I wasn't the kind of woman he could build a life with. Said I was too much woman for any man to want publicly, but I'd make a good secret." She laughed bitterly. "I had this nursing degree and nothing tying me to Lagos anymore. Saw a job posting for international nurses in Seoul and just went. Figured if I was going to be alone, I might as well be alone somewhere new." Jiwon's hand tightened on hers. "He was a fool and a coward. Maybe, but he wasn't wrong. I am too much, too curvy, too loud, too—" "Stop!" Jiwon's voice was sharp. He turned to face her fully. "Listen to me very carefully, Annabella. You are not too much. You are exactly right. Your curves are beautiful. Your voice is beautiful. Everything about you is exactly as it should be. And any man who made you feel otherwise wasn't man enough to deserve you." Tears burned her eyes. "You have to say that. I'm what? Protecting you? Yes, but that doesn't make it less true." He pulled her close, his lips against her hair. "I'm going to spend every day showing you how wrong he was, how perfect you are, how desperately lucky I am that you're here, with me, despite every reason you have to run." "I'm not running anymore," she whispered. "Not from you." "Good, because I'm not letting you go." His arms tightened around her. "You're mine now, Annabella, and I protect what's mine." The possessiveness should have scared her, should have reminded her of her ex's controlling behavior, but somehow, coming from Jiwon, it felt different. Safe, like belonging instead of being owned. They pulled into another underground garage, this one beneath a building in a quieter part of the city. Were ushered quickly into another elevator, another penthouse, though this one was smaller, more lived in, real instead of showroom. "This was my father's place," Jiwon said quietly, watching her take in the space. "He died 5 years ago. I've kept it maintained, but I rarely come here. Too many memories. Good memories or bad. Both." He moved to the windows, staring out at the city. "He was a hard man. Built this empire from nothing, taught me that power was the only currency that mattered. But he also loved my mother completely, worshipped her until the day she died. I never understood how he could be both, brutal and tender, until you." Annabella moved to stand beside him. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've spent 15 years being exactly what my father taught me to be. Cold, calculating, merciless. I've hurt people, destroyed lives, done things I can't take back. I'm not a good man, Annabella." He turned to her, and she saw the struggle in his eyes. "But with you, I want to be. You make me want to be the kind of man who deserves you. And that terrifies me because I don't know if I can be both. If I can protect you from my world while being soft enough to deserve you." She took his hand, placed it over her heart. "Feel that? That's my heart beating faster because you're near. Not because I'm afraid, but because I'm alive. For the first time in years, I feel alive instead of just surviving." She met his eyes. "I don't need you to be perfect, Jiwon. I just need you to be real, to be human with me, to choose me even when it's hard. I choose you." The words were immediate, absolute, over power, over safety, over everything. "I choose you, Annabella." He kissed her then, deep and claiming, backing her against the window. His hands mapped her curves with reverent possession, touching her like she was precious and necessary. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Annabella saw the future written in his eyes, dangerous and beautiful and impossibly theirs. "What happens now?" she whispered. "Now I end this." His voice was steel wrapped in silk. "Marcus wants a war? I'll give him one. And when it's over, when you're truly safe, I'm going to court you properly. Take you to dinner, learn everything about you, show you Seoul like you've never seen it. But first," his hands framed her face, "first, I'm going to make sure no one ever threatens you again." "How?" His smile was sharp and deadly. "By reminding Marcus Crane why people fear the name Kang Ji-won. By showing him what happens when someone touches what belongs to me." He kissed her forehead, soft against the promise of violence. "Stay here. Taehyun and his team will protect you. I'll be back before dark." "Where are you going?" to end this war, so we can start our life together. He pulled back, and she saw the crime lord fully present now, cold and lethal. But when he looked at her, warmth broke through. Wait for me, Annabella. I'll come back to you. I promise. Jiwon, she caught his hand. Don't do anything that will change who you are. Don't become more of a monster for me. I'm already a monster. But for you? His smile was soft. For you, I'll be a monster with a heart. Then he was gone, leaving Annabella in the penthouse with armed guards and a view of a city that suddenly felt both foreign and like home. She pressed her hand against the window, watching cars stream below, and prayed to the God her mother had taught her to trust that Jiwon would come back to her whole. The hours crawled past with agonizing slowness. Taehyun and his men maintained professional distance, but she caught them glancing at her with a mix of curiosity and respect that suggested Jiwon had told them more than just to guard her. She tried to read, to watch TV, to do anything, to distract herself from images of Jiwon hurt or worse. As the sun began to set, painting Seoul in shades of gold and blood, her phone rang. The one Jiwon had given her, programmed with only his number. She answered with trembling hands. Annabella. His voice was rough, exhausted, but alive. It's done. Relief crashed over her so hard her knees buckled. Are you okay? I'm fine. Few bruises, nothing serious. A pause. Marcus won't be bothering anyone anymore. What did you do? What I had to keep you safe, to end this. She heard him take a shaky breath. I'll explain everything when I get there. But Annabella, I need you to know, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't want the violence. I just wanted you safe. I know. And she did. Somehow, impossibly, she understood. Come home, Jiwon. Just come home. Home. He repeated the word like a prayer. I like the sound of that. I'll be there in 20 minutes. When he finally walked through the door, Annabella was waiting. He looked exhausted, his suit torn, bruises darkening his jaw, but alive, whole, real. She crossed to him in 3 steps and threw her arms around him, feeling him sag against her like she was the only thing keeping him standing. It's over, he whispered into her hair. You're safe. Marcus is in custody, his organization dismantled. My traitor has been dealt with. It's finally over. What did it cost you? Nothing I'm not willing to pay. He pulled back to look at her face, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. Everything I have, everything I am, it's all worth it if it means you're safe. If it means I get to keep you. You have me. She pulled him down for a kiss that tasted like relief and promise. You had me from the moment you looked at me like I was worthy of being seen. You are worthy. His hands slid down to her waist, pulling her flush against him. Of being seen, loved, cherished, and I'm going to spend every day proving that to you. Starting when? His smile was exhausted but genuine. Starting now, after I shower and possibly sleep for a week. He kissed her again, softer. Stay with me. Not because you're in danger, not because you need protection. Stay with me because you want to. Because this thing between us, crazy as it is, feels more real than anything I've ever known. Annabella looked at this man, this beautiful, dangerous man who'd torn apart his world to keep her safe, who looked at her like she hung the moon, who made her feel worthy of love for the first time in her life. She thought about the life she'd left behind in Lagos, the woman who'd believed she was too much, the nurse who'd worked invisible night shifts. Then she looked at the woman she was becoming with Jiwon, seen and cherished, and finally home. I'll stay, she whispered. Not just for tonight, for as long as you'll have me. His smile was devastating. Then you'll be staying forever. Because Annabella Obi, I'm never letting you go. Promise, on everything I am. On everything I've become because of you. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. You walked into my ER and changed my entire world. Now let me spend the rest of my life being worthy of that gift. As the Seoul night wrapped around them and the city lights sparkled below, Annabella finally understood what it meant to be home. Not a place, but a person. Not safety, but being truly seen. And in Kang Jiwon's arms, surrounded by the ruins of his empire and the promise of their future, she was finally, completely, perfectly whole.